Next in person, Eva Thompson. Okay. Dirk McCall. Mark Papish. Oh, I'm sorry. Dirk McCall? Okay. But if Mark Papish and Diana Zaremena are here, to follow the speaker. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify. My name is Dirk McCall, and I'm a resident of Astoria for 29 years in the same apartment 4 blocks from here. I rarely come out to testify at hearings, but the proposed lines for Council District 26 are so horrible and so wrong that I'm here tonight to register my rage, my shock, and my disappointment, and to speak in opposition, strong opposition to this map. We already have a new state Senate district. The special master has put Astoria with the East Side in a district where we're going to have wealthy East Siders running to be our senator in Astoria. We don't want to compound this a second time by having our city council district have the same situation. The new lines shift me from Tiffany Caban's district, District 22, where I've lived for close to 3 decades, to District 26. This is a good thing. Southern Astoria, Long Island City, Sunnyside, and Woodside, they're very similar. But we need to make certain that we keep Woodside together and Sunnyside together. These 2 communities are basically the same community. Everything we do together, and we shouldn't be separated. So please keep us together, and please fix this mistake. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Are you Diana?
Buenas noches con todos. Mi nombre es Diana Sarumeño y vivo en el distrito del Concilio Municipal número 34, que representa una sección de Ridgewood en Queens. Hoy he venido a testificar sobre el distrito 34. He sido residente de Ridgewood durante 12 años. El distrito 34 debería expandirse más a Ridgewood. ¿Por qué? El distrito 34 representa partes de Ridgewood en Queens y Bushwick en Brooklyn. Por lo tanto, Bushwick y Ridgewood comparten preocupaciones similares. Ridgewood y Bushwick deberían estar unidos. Por lo tanto, el asiento 34 debería expandirse más hacia Ridgewood. Ridgewood se compone principalmente de familias hispanas, latinas, y tienen sentido mantenerse unidas estas familias en lugar de ser divididas. Yo como inmigrante les pido a ustedes que no separen, tomen en cuenta que Ridgewood es una área donde vivimos muchos padres latinos que estamos conformados por diferentes comunidades hispanas. I want to try in English. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sure.
My name is Diana Sarumeño. I'm living in 34th City Council District. We represent a section of Ridgewood and Queens. Today I have a comment to testifying about the 34th District. I have been a Ridgewood resident for 12 years. The 34th District should be spent in Ridgewood more because the 34th District represents part of Ridgewood in Queens and Bushwick and Brooklyn. That before Bushwick and Ridgewood share similar concern, Ridgewood and Bushwick should be union there before the 34th seat should be spent more in Ridgewood. Ridgewood is made up mostly of Hispanic Latinx families, and it making sense to keeping the families together, raise the dividing them. Thank you.
And thank you very much for your testimony. Is it Tanya Zormino? Are you Tania? That is, okay, just double check. Thank you. And then following Tania is Claudia Nunez, and then Mohammed Sarwar.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Tania Sarumeño. Yo vivo en el distrito 34, 20 años. Vivo en Ridgewood. distrito, ay, Dios mío. Ridgewood, Queens, Bushwick, Brooklyn. Ay, perdón, disculpen. Mi nombre es Tania y vivo en el distrito de concilio número 34. Represento una sección de Ridgewood, Queens. Hoy he venido a testificar en el distrito 34. He sido residente por 20 años en el distrito 34. Ay, Dios mío. Bueno, yo vivo, ay, Dios mío, discúlpenme, no tengo lentes,
That's okay.
no puedo ver, no tengo mucha luz. Yo vivo en Ridgewood, vivo 20 años, mis hijas son nacidas en Ridgewood, pertenezco a Bushwick. Estoy aquí, muchas gracias. Por favor. Sí, porque no tengo lentes y no hay mucha luz.
The lady forgot her glasses at home, so she could
Oh.
not read her own speech. So I'm going to read it in Spanish and then in English.
You can, hearing, just if you can do it maybe just in English right now, and then if there's a demand for
Whatever you
Spanish,
want.
we'll accede to that.
Okay. My name is Tanya, and I live in District Council number 34, which represents a section of Ridgewood, Queens. I have come to give my testimony on District 34. I have been a resident of Ridgewood for how many?
20 años.
For 20 years. District 34 must expand towards Ridgewood because District 34 represents parts of Ridgewood in Queens and Bushwick in Brooklyn. Therefore, Bushwick and Ridgewood would share similar concerns. Ridgewood and Bushwick must maintain united. Therefore, District 34 must expand towards Ridgewood. Ridgewood is made up principally of Hispanic Latin families who have a sense of unity, and these families must remain united instead of divided. For a long time, Ridgewood has been divided in two areas that divide the community or that sever the community. The new maps will divide Ridgewood even further into 3 seats. I think that to continue and to expand such divisions will damage the working class families of Ridgewood. If you add more NYCHA buildings in District 34, you will withdraw time and resources to the families of Ridgewood that already need help.
Thank you very much. And thank you.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No need to apologize. Thank you very much. Claudia Nunez? Okay, thank you. Is it Mohammed Sarwar? Okay, thank you. Cesar Ruiz? And then following Caesar would be Jerry, is it Matalana?
Thank you, Commission. I'm going to try to be brief. I had a much longer one, but you're all tired, and so I'll make it quick and easy. Greetings, Commissioner. My name is Cesar Ruiz. I'm a legal fellow and attorney at Latino Justice. Latino Justice is a civil rights organization that has served the Latino community throughout the nation for the past 50 years. We are members of the Unity Coalition alongside ALDEF and CLSJ. We work to represent the interests of Latino, Black, and Asian community members. Simply put, we urge the Commission to adopt the Unity Map in full. Our map is a product of deep community engagement, and discussion is a reflection of their voices. I'm all about easy fixes, especially this late at night, so I'll share a few key points of our suggestion. Adopt the Unity Map because it keeps Woodside, Sunnyside whole, and it maintains District 26 exclusively in Queens, as you've heard extensive testimony tonight. Adopt the unity map because it doesn't malapportion the city maps. We cross District 49 into South Brooklyn to ensure flexibility across the city, recognizing that the city charter mandates this, as do the demographic shifts among the districts across the 5 boroughs. Malapportionment. Why? If the first question, the first issue is that it violates the city charter. The first criteria, which means that you can't underpopulate certain districts at the expense of other districts, and that's clearly what we see when you have 3 wholly contained districts in Staten Island. The second, it doesn't match the demographic growth. Staten Island is the smallest borough. It's only 500K residents, and it has the lowest growth rate at only 27,000. So that presents huge malapportionment concerns. Lastly, if anything is clear, coalition districts must be protected. We're not a city that is just Asian, Latino, or Black. We're a diverse city that is served by a diverse body, and coalition districts that have performed for communities of color must be protected and maintained. The most egregious example of disrupting coalition districts is City Council District in the preliminary map 38, which removes Red Hook and a large chunk of Sunset Park, dismantling a performing coalition district. While we endeavor to create new majorities where possible, we don't do so at the expense of disrupting performing coalition districts like 26 or 38. A number were disrupted by the issues of malapportionment and the creation of the new majority that splits the community of interest of Sunset Park. We kind of accept the carrot of City Council District 43 having been beaten by the stick of unjust past redistricting cycles, which have pitted our communities against one another and caused us all to suffer. Simply put, these changes not only exacerbate existing issues, but disturb deep organizing and connections within these communities. Once again, I urge for the full adoption of the unity map, and I thank you for your time.
And thank you.
All right, good evening. My name is Jerry Vadamala. I'm the director of the Democracy Program at the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, ALDEF. We are a member of the Asian American APA Voice Redistricting Task Force, as well as a member of the Unity Map Coalition, which submitted the Unity Map to you. Some comments on the Commission's draft map. As mentioned by my colleague, Cesar, it is problematic to start with Staten Island. You should not be starting with Staten Island. Staten Island should not be dictating the rest of the map, the other 48 districts. The city charter gives you a prioritized list that you must follow. Number 2 on that list is making sure that there's fair and effective representation for language and racial minority groups protected under the Federal Voting Rights Act. That means Black, Latino, and Asian communities. You have to start there before you look at places like Staten Island and other communities of interest. What's problematic also, as mentioned, performing coalition districts are protected by the Federal Voting Rights Act. You cannot dismantle those performing coalition districts, meaning the Asian and Latino populations, when combined, that are over 50%, that are electing people of color. You cannot dismantle that and replace that with plurality white districts, especially when the white population in Queens decreased by 30%. Okay, so it just does not make sense. You should be looking at the census data, and these new lines should be reflecting the census data, not turning them on their head, not dismantling performing coalition districts, one of them that elected the first Korean American to city council, and replacing it with a white plurality district in the face of the city charter and the population demographics from the last census. Also, I would say with District 32, 27, 28, 31, we know those are performing Black districts. The unity map turns 28 into a majority Black district. So then you would have 3 majority Black districts. Well, then what about Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park? That is a protected community of interest. It's Asian American community of interest. It is a group protected under the Federal Voting Rights Act. And you must first ensure that there's fair and effective representation for that community before you look at Howard Beach and Breezy Point and Broad Channel and those other areas that you've drawn and consolidated into District 32. What about Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park? You've lumped them together in 28 with Rochdale Village, where they have no opportunity to elect a candidate of their choice. Again, I would argue that's a violation of the charter. Before you move on after the 3 Black districts in 27, 28, and 31, you must then next look at Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park, and make sure they have fair and effective representation. What does that look like? That's the unity map, District 32. It allows them for the first time to have an opportunity to elect a candidate of their choice. We also made sure that Woodside was kept whole in City Council District 26. You heard a lot about that. We submitted our communities of interest to you. 16 Asian American communities of interest. You have the boundaries. You know what we're talking about when we're talking about these neighborhoods. At the top of our list when we were doing the unity map, Woodside, we want to make sure they were kept whole. Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park, they had an opportunity to elect a candidate of their choice, and to keep Bensonhurst whole. We'll talk about that more at the Brooklyn hearing. But when you want to see a map that complies with the Federal Voting Rights Act and the city charter and is the most equitable for the communities of color that are protected under the Federal Voting Rights Act, that is the unity map. I ask you to adopt that in full. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, we'll go back to virtual. Is it Salima Ashraf Islam? If not, she's on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here.
All righty, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. Hello, my name is Salima Ashraf Islam, and I'm one of the founding member and director of cultural organization called Bangladesh Institute of Performing Arts, short known to everybody, BIPA. And I have been serving this organization for 30 years. And through this organization, I'm serving those areas, mostly Astoria, LIC, Sunnyside, Woodside. Those are the area mostly for the Bangladeshi young generation. We teach them culture and everything. And we perform a lot cultural shows, not only in our community. We do that to spread in different libraries and different mainstream show. And we have been working together as a powerful community. But hearing this redistricting this area is really concerned me. And I don't think this is a good idea, redistricting this area, because as a big community, we are very powerful and we can serve a lot of people. And that's why I'm just thinking that redistricting these areas is not a good idea to go. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your testimony. Next on the Zoom is Kamanas Kiano Nur.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. And I am actually board of director of Woodside on the Move. I'm also a member of National Alliance for Filipino Concern. And recently I became part of the Asian Advisory Council of the New York City Mayor. And also I founded Kinding Sindao Heritage Foundation, a 30-year-old non-for-profit cultural organization that brings legends, epics, and myths of the unwritten history of Southern Philippines to the world, actually relating us to the rest of the immigrant heritage, both ancient ancestral Sanskrit history and Latino history of the Philippines. And the reason why I would like to testify, it's because I'm very concerned. I came here in America as an immigrant nurse in 1990s to fill in the understaffing of HIV/AIDS, and I served two front lines during the COVID pandemic recently. And redistricting Council District 26 is very scary for us, Asian population or population here in Queens that gives Queens the beauty, the vibration, and also the healing effect of the community. For example, during the height of COVID-19, we nurses in the hospital cannot go home to our family because we don't want to carry that virus home. So it's the restaurants of Little Manila, their chef or their cook goes to the restaurant and cook food, cultural food for us, and bring it to the hospital so that we nurses can eat, can be nourished, so that we can serve the the what they call epicenter of the epicenter. Now, Woodside, Queens is currently, District 26 currently is incorporates Sunnyside, Woodside, Long Island City, and parts of Astoria. And these would undergo significant change if the map were to go effect. The new District 26 map would see much more of Astoria removed along with the Queensbridge and Ravenwood and folded into District 22. Most of Woodside also began, with portions of it falling into District 30 and District 25. Currently, District 26, the population is 29% non-Hispanic white, 31% Asian, 29% Hispanic, and 6% Black. If this will be revised, it will go to 44% white, non-Hispanic, 25% Asian, 22% Hispanic, and 4% Black. Anyhow, what is scary is if you will divide it into 4, this fractures our impact to the community. Like, we will lose our leader who understands the community. Currently, our district council person in Woodside has grown in Woodside. A young woman who was immersed in the community and is able. Julie Won is new, but she has already very much responding to us, to our needs in the community. And one thing that I'm very concerned is Little Manila. As I have related to you our story during COVID time, that Little Manila is a little hub for the Philippines in Queens. And that is where you can see the visibility of the Filipinos, our cuisine, our culture, and you can come anytime and say you have visited Philippines in Queens, in that little corner of Queens that will become invisible. We are already invisible. We Filipinos serve in the healthcare industry for centuries, and I think you can witness yourself if you have been in the hospital or in a healthcare that we have served with most compassion. Now,
If you can start to wrap up,
but
please.
however, we are already invisible, and if Little Manila will be impacted in this redistricting, well, it's a sign that we are not really being cared for. In 2015, there was
Ma'am,
an
with all,
attempt.
excuse me, with all due respect, because we have still many speakers to speak, and we need to have you wrap up, please.
I'm wrapping up. I'm timing myself actually. In 2015, there was an attempt of gentrifying Woodside, and that is our fear right now. If Woodside will be divided into 4, we will totally be erased in the map of Queens or New York City. So
Thank
we
you.
are opposed with the new redistricting.
Thank you very much. And in response
Thank
to the Monsignor's question, we had an as you can tell, subscription of people who wanted to testify. And while it officially is listed as 9 o'clock for closing, we were able to work with the local council member to stay in the venue as long as we need it. So we understand that people are on fixed schedule, and we respect that. But we've also tried to be respectful of the individuals who have definitely come forward to testify both in person and virtually. So that's the balancing act that we're trying to achieve right now. And end time? No. No, but again, we understand that people are on schedule, so we are respectful, but I will be here. So next is Rosalind Spigner, Chris Collins, and Bahari Law. Okay, Maritza Ordonez? Ord- Is it Mishalam Lisker? Hallie Kim? I know I saw this name pop up earlier. Jay Williams? Hallie Kim is in person. Okay, I have it listed as Zoom, so I'm
Jay
sorry.
Williams is on Zoom.
Okay, hold on one second, Mr. Williams.
Hi, sorry.
No, no, don't apologize. That's okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Kim. I'm here with the Minkwon Center for Community Action, but I'm also here as a 23-year resident of Sunnyside, Queens, and a very proud one at that. So I'm here today to ask that in the redistricting process, we keep Sunnyside and Woodside together in City Council 26. I want to re-emphasize the unwieldiness of a two-borough district and the lack of necessity to do so looking at the census data, because we can keep District 26 a Queens district. For as long as I've known, Sunnyside and Woodside have been in the same city council district. I live in Sunnyside, my grandparents live in Woodside, we've always had the same council member. And it's kind of been a point of pride for me and a way for them to get information on who to vote for. But we've also been able to kind of keep the multicultural, multi-ethnic, and more importantly, socioeconomically diverse district that we're all proud to be a part of. And I think it is a point of pride for a lot of us here. To tear these two communities apart electorally instead add parts of Manhattan is to solely look at the skylines of Long Island City, assume that this is what the entire community looks like, and erase what makes this district so special. Thank you.
And thank you. Jay Williams?
Jay Williams, I am the general manager of Rosthill Village, located in South Jamaica, Queens. Before that, I was the assistant general manager of Rosthill Village for 9.5 years, and lived here. While I don't live here now, I lived here for 8 years. I started my family at Rochdale. I just want to begin by saying that I do not think that the part of District 28 containing the one community of Rochdale Village should be split into two separate districts. Upon examining City Charter Section 52 Part C of the district plan and Part F, read district lines shall be kept intact. Neighborhoods and communities with established ties of common interest and association, whether historical, racial, economic, ethnic, religious, or other. So Rochdale Village has been an established community for 60 years. As the the largest Mitchellama at the time, containing over 25,000 residents. They're governed by a board of 50 members that are duly elected by the residents that reside here. While our campus spans 117 acres, we are one community that share common interests. They share leases, maintenance staff, rules and regulations. The proposed district lines cuts through our community. And even goes as far as to cut through one of our buildings, which seems like a gross violation of this particular section. Section F, I'd like to reference that as well. That district should not be drawn for the purpose of separating geographic concentrations of voters enrolled in the same political party into two or more districts in order to diminish the effectiveness, the effective representation of such voters. So just to piggyback upon what I mentioned before with regard to Rochdale Village and its time frame of over 60 years, again, the district line cuts through our building, across our grounds, through our community center, which doesn't seem to make a lot of sense even from a layman's perspective. That's if to say if someone has a problem in the building that's been cut in half, and maybe it's a systemic problem, one neighbor has to go to one district for help and the other neighbor has to go to the other for help, which doesn't seem to make any sense to us. And with regard to the lines in general, When I examined the drawing, I see that most of the lines follow streets as natural barriers between one district to another. Again, this one cuts right across our grounds and through our buildings, which doesn't seem right. So with that being said, I'd like to again repeat, I do not think that the part of District 28 containing the one community of Rochdale Village should be split into two pieces. Thank you very much.
And thank you, sir. Herberto Rivera? Marie Jean Pierre. Okay, we're back in person, and the hour is really late, but we are always going to be respectful of people who want to testify and signed up beforehand. So if you can really keep your remarks to within the timeline, I think that'll be extremely helpful to all of us. Thank you very much. Thomas Moraski?
Thank you. My name is Thomas Morowski. I live in Liberty Park, which is a section of Glendale. I'm here to voice my objection to the city's redistricting, which removes a small section of Glendale from District 30 and places it into District 32. I've lived in Liberty Park for 32 years and was the past president of the Liberty Park Homeowners Association for about 15 years. My objection to the proposed redistricting is based on numerous sound reasons and includes the following. The first reason is our community will be detached from the rest of District 32 by about 3/4 to a mile. Well, actually, we're joined to the remainder of the district by cemeteries and a park. I don't consider that joining. Cemeteries divide a neighborhood. Secondly, Liberty Park is part of Community Board 5, which also covers Middle Village, the rest of Glendale, parts of Ridgewood, and Maspeth. We participate in events sponsored by or occurring in these areas. In fact, the Community Board 5 office is right down the block from where we live. In fact, we go there to voice our complaints in person. Our bonds with other communities that I just mentioned is through organizations such as Little Leagues, churches. Well, the proposed district and breakup will break these bonds. As presently drawn, District 30 is a compact district. It's a couple of miles across and a couple of miles from north and south. If you place us into District 32, we will be, the boundaries are about 10 to 12 miles apart. This is ridiculous. Our police precinct is the 104th Police Precinct. We utilize our district councilmen to get representation at our local meetings. When they don't appear, we let our council member hear about it. So without our local councilman who knows this area, a new council member will have to be introduced to the new captain or whatever and coordinate with the police. In fact, our current representative, Bob Holden, knows the area and he's very familiar with it. In fact, I can tell you honestly, since I've been active in the Homeowners Association for years, every one of our past council members have been familiar with our area and are very, very familiar with our issues. In fact, a few months ago, you may have seen it on the news. At the intersection of Cypress Avenue and Cooper Avenue, a pedestrian was hit by a car, not once, but twice. And we called up Bob Holden. He arranged to have a press conference. He got the Department of Transportation Commissioner, I think his name's Rodriguez. And in fact, they got changes implemented at that intersection with the lighting, signage. It looks like it's, it has improved. This is the kind of representation that we expect from our council. I'm trying to keep this.
To wrap up,
yes, I'm trying to keep this. That's about the end of my speech. Like I said, we don't want to be detached from the rest of the district that we are in right now. Thank you.
And thank you, sir. Puneet Kaur, Kaur. Maritza Seda. Jane Margaretin. Elizabeth O. Yang. And following Elizabeth O. Yang is Mohammed Ahmed, Faranza Linda, and then Anelsa Otar.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Elizabeth O. Young. I'm the coordinator of APA Voice Redistricting Task Force, the largest Asian American redistricting coalition of 21 leading civic engagement groups throughout the city. Following the release of the Commission's draft map, an article in Politico dated July 27, 2022, alleged the New York City Council's minority leader, whose district is in Staten Island, influenced the Commission's draft map. The draft map prioritizes Staten Island, which represents 5.6% of the city's population, over 94.4% of the rest of the city's residents. If this article is true, backdoor deals make a mockery of democracy. We, the public, are not in a position to comment on the veracity of this article, but it remains perplexing how 3 districts in Staten Island, the borough that experienced the least population growth over the last decade of all 5 boroughs, could restrict the size of the rest of the 48 districts in New York City. The needs of Staten Island must be balanced with where the population has grown more, and that's in Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, and the Bronx, respectively. Otherwise, millions of New York City residents, including those supposed to be protected by the Voting Rights Act, are being stripped of an opportunity for fair representation. We applaud Commissioner Judge Go for publicly recognizing this glaring injustice and by abstaining from voting on this draft map. We hope the Commission's final maps will rectify this gross imbalance and restore the public's confidence in this redistricting process. The same Politico article also mentioned a different map the Commission drew that did not have all 3 districts contained within Staten Island, but this draft map was not released to the public. To ensure transparency, we ask the Commission to please release the map immediately, this draft map that was not given to the public, for review and comment prior to the Commission submitting a revised map to the City Council. Without access to this undisclosed alternative draft map by the Commission, our task force members last night voted to support the Unity map for City Council. The Unity map so far is the map that best keeps the 16 Asian American communities of interest in New York City whole. For Queens, the Unity map keeps Woodside, including Little Manila, whole in District 26, keeps the APA community of interest in Elmhurst whole in District 25, considers the growth in APA population in Northern Flushing in District 20, and creates a plurality APA district in Richmond Hill, South Ozone Park in District 32. At the upcoming hearings, our task force members will testify how the Unity map keeps the APA communities of interest whole in Brooklyn and in Manhattan. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Mohammed Ahmed.
Hi, good afternoon, Commissioners. I first want to start by echoing Liz's sentiments around Staten Island. It is important for us to have equity in this redistricting process, and we are not having that with Staten Island. My name is Mohammed Q. Amin. I am a proud Indo-Caribbean, queer, Muslim, and Southeast Queens resident, a homeowner, organizer, and community member of Richmond Hill. I'm also the founder and executive director of the Caribbean Equality Project, a community-based organization that advocates for and represents Black and Brown Caribbean LGBTQ immigrants in New York City. For the past decade, I have witnessed the growth and development of my community. Little Guyana in Richmond Hill and Little Punjab in South Ozone Park are home to New York City's thriving South Asian and Indo-Caribbean communities in Queens. Currently, these communities of interest are unjustifiably divided into 3 city council districts, 28, 29, and 32. These district lines have diluted our political power, vote, and voice for decades. The progress in these neighborhoods began in the 60s and 70s with migration of people from Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, to just name a few countries. Today, you can buy your bread from Sybil's at Liberty Avenue and 132nd Street, go to Jummah prayers on Fridays at Masjid al-Abedin, shop for cultural groceries, clothing, and religious items along Liberty Avenue and 101 Avenue, play holy at Smoky Park. The Sikh community can safely worship at a Gurdwara located on 113th Street and 101 Avenue, and the Hindu community can attend prayers at Sri Murti Bhawan Mandir located at 101st Street and 97th Avenue. These historical locations are all within 15 minutes drive of each other and within the natural boundaries of Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park, which are Woodhaven Boulevard to the west, Jamaica Avenue to the north, the Van Wyck Expressway to the east, and the South Conduit to the south. What you won't find in these South Asian and Indo-Caribbean neighborhood is a single city council district office. These neighborhoods are also home to Richmond Hill and John Adams High School, hundreds of thriving small businesses, and thousands of residential houses that deserves an equitable political representation. The Commission's proposed map for Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park further divide my community into 5 city council districts. If you look at your map, you will see that Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park are divided among City Council District 27, 28, 29, 31, and 32. This is not what many of us have testified in person and virtually asked for. We boldly asked for our community of interest to be kept whole in a single compact district. Redistricting is a racial justice, immigrants' rights, and equality of life issue. Each new city council district you create should reflect the population growth of these neighborhoods. There should be equity in your process. What you have collectively proposed for Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park is the definition of political disenfranchisement and racial gerrymandering. Our diverse and intersectional communities can no longer be ignored, underfunded, and under-resourced, not by this commission or any sitting elected official. Today, I am calling on the New York City Redistricting Commission to hear our voices and bring justice to Richmond Hill. We deserve equity in the New York City redistricting process. We deserve to be kept whole and protected under the Voting Rights Act. We deserve fair and equitable maps. We deserve to be united and not divided. You have the political power to end decades of gerrymandering and political violence in Southeast Queens. Give us a fighting chance to emerge from the COVID-19 pandemic a more politically resilient community.
Thank you. Faranza Linda. After Faranza Linda, and Lisa Attar.
I'm Anlisa. I'm actually going to go first. Farzana and I are part of the same organization.
Okay.
All right. My name is Anlisa Autar. I'm a longtime resident and voter in Richmond Hill, Council District 28. I work at Chaya CDC, a member organization of APA Voice Redistricting Task Force. Chaya is a 22-year-old community organization located in Jackson Heights and Richmond Hill, serving the Indo-Caribbean and South Asian communities across Queens, including Elmhurst, Woodside, Jackson Heights, Richmond Hill, and South Ozone Park. Bangladeshis, Guyanese, Nepalis and Tibetans, Punjabis and other Indians, Trinidadians, and more make up this richly diverse yet cohesive diaspora. Chaya works to build housing stability, economic well-being, and the power of South Asian and Indo-Caribbean communities by providing housing counseling for tenants and homeowners, financial counseling, free tax prep, and immigration services. Over the last 2 decades, this community has been and continues to be severely underserved while facing some of the hardest housing and economic issues in New York City. Chaya believes the following district lines would allow our communities to be whole. For Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park, the natural lines are Woodhaven Boulevard to the west, Jamaica Avenue to the north, Van Wyck Expressway to the east, and Conduit Avenue to the south, which keep the communities of interest together. In Woodside, we oppose the Commission's draft map for Woodside as it divides the Asian community into many districts and puts the significantly Asian part of Woodside in District 30. This includes the Filipino, Nepali, Tibetan, and Bangladeshi communities. The APA community in Woodside has little to no commonalities with District 30. We would like to see Woodside remain whole in District 26, and we support the unity map for Woodside as it does this. In Elmhurst, we appreciate and commend the Commission in keeping Elmhurst whole in District 25. We hope this part of the map is maintained. The South Asian and Indo-Caribbean communities share deep cultural, commercial, religious, and linguistic connections in Council Districts 25, 28, and 32. In these districts, over the last 2 decades, deep ties were strengthened within the South Asian and Indo-Caribbean communities during the post-9/11 backlash, when our Muslim and Sikh community members were targeted. Our entire communities came together to support each other. During the pandemic, when mutual aid groups comprised of Bangladeshi, Punjabi, and Indo-Caribbean members came together to address food insecurities and the need for PPE and testing sites. And recently, census outreach is another example of our communities coming together. Guyanese, Bangladeshis, Indians, and Nepalis, all working together to ensure our communities were counted. We urge the Redistricting Commission to ensure the South Asian and Indo-Caribbeans in these key neighborhoods are no longer fractured as they have been historically, and finally have the opportunity to elect a candidate who truly represents their voices and needs. Our communities can no longer be invisible and divided. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony.
Hi everyone, my name is Farzana Linda and I work at Chaya CDC. I am a longtime resident, worker, and voter in Council District 25. My family and I have lived in our 2-family home in Woodside since 2003. My sister and her husband are renters in Elmhurst, with my niece and nephew attending a local daycare and public school in the area. All of us collectively frequent Woodside, Elmhurst, and Jackson Heights for work, family and friends, shopping, food, cultural events, and services. I support and commend the Commission for keeping Elmhurst whole in District 25. Just like the Unity Map does, including many of the communities of interest that I grew up with together in the district, including Jackson Heights. The northern border of the proposed maps for District 25 does not extend far enough to Astoria Boulevard to include all of the South Asians who have shared interests in the district, but it does include many of the key institutions, like the only local Punjabi and Bengali grocery mart that are within walking distance for those who live between Northern Boulevard and Astoria Boulevard. But we are still supportive of the proposed northern border and hope you will not bring the northern line down any further. Please continue to keep Elmhurst whole in District 25. I do oppose the Commission's draft map that divides Woodside into many districts and puts parts of Woodside, including Little Manila, and the South Asian parts with District 30. Woodside, including Little Manila, should remain whole in District 26, just like the Unity Map does. The basis for these opinions is deeply grounded in my experience growing up in these neighborhoods and working at Chaya. I was a student, volunteer, and then teacher at the Islamic Center of Jackson Heights on 79th Street and 31st Avenue, which became our source, as well as for many others, for community information and resources. Jackson Heights was where we shopped for groceries, picked up Bangla news publications, attended street festivals, and got our taxes done by people who could speak Bengali. The APA community in Elmhurst and Jackson Heights share various commercial cultural corridors, as we mentioned earlier. The same can be said about the Filipino, Bangladeshi, Nepali, and Tibetan community in Woodside. Many of us in these neighborhoods are homeowners and tenants who are working class, oftentimes taxi drivers, construction workers, restaurant and hotel staff who work long hours, struggling to pay off mortgage or rent. Many tenants rent in 1 to 4 family homes, basement apartments, or rent-stabilized buildings. Both face rising housing costs, stagnant income, and sit under the constant threat of displacement and gentrification. The APA community in these neighborhoods must be kept whole with the distinctions made earlier in order to preserve their community and homes. These neighborhoods and communities are my home and place of work, and I'm committed to seeing it grow and thrive. I hope the Commission will help us do that and ensure that our communities can get the representation and access we deserve and continue to have to fight for. Thank you so much.
And thank you for your testimony. Next is Tenzin Dechen, John Bahia, and then Hallie Kim.
Good evening. Can I just say that this is way past my bedtime? So I've been here since 5 o'clock. I'm not complaining.
Thank you for your
I
commitment.
just, well, thank you guys for sticking around. I didn't see any of you. I think some of you took bathroom breaks, I should say.
Now you're getting into TMI.
Exactly. So. Okay. I'll be brief. All right. Let me just take this. So I missed the email. Apparently, I'm in the 9:30 group. I didn't realize. I was so excited to be here. So I got here at 5. It's almost 5.5 hours. But you know, my motivation for being here is very selfish. I'm here to speak on behalf of my community, the Tibetan American community. So within that 5-hour duration, I almost left. As you can imagine, we're all human beings. It's like a grueling 5 hours long. So then I had to reflect, right? It's kind of off script. Like, you know, the Tibetan people have escaped political prosecution, religious prosecution. They came to countries like this so they can actually speak their mind without any fear of, you know, dying or getting killed. So for that, I just want to thank you guys for giving us space to voice our opinion, and then also taking a lot of time to listen to us. Okay, so to my point, I'm going to go off script because it's very late. It's time to go to bed. I luckily live 10 minutes away, so hopefully none of you have to go more than an hour to get to your apartment or your home. But as I was saying, I'm a Tibetan American, so our community is predominantly resides in District 25 and most importantly District 26. As we know in the new map, District 26 has dramatically changed. So we're already kind of spread across like District 26 and 25, a little bit of 22, 29, 30. But now with this new map, we're scattered across at least 4 to 5 different districts. So we've been, you know, we're a new community here. We're a minority within minority. We're Asian American. We're part of the Himalayan group, so Nepalese and Bhutanese, they already spoke. But, you know, we built a lot of political capital and institutional relationship with District 26. Before Julie Wan, we were close with, I think, Council Member Jim Bremer, you know, District 26, 25, now with Schaefer, Council Member Schaefer. So we don't want to lose that. So we don't want to, you know, our community leaders are here right now. Hopefully they'll speak as well. They're all volunteers. Like, no one gets paid within our community to, you know, to serve this community. Now you're asking us to do, you know, they have 2 part-time jobs, 3 full-time jobs, and now you're asking them like, hey, you need to talk to 4 different council members, 5 maybe. So this is totally unacceptable to us. So with that, I'll just conclude with maybe something close to your neck of the wood, Mr. Walcott. There is a Woodside library within District 26. I know you're part of the Queens Public Library, you're president. Within that, you know, your kind of like your noble cause, noble work, there is a effort made within that library. A lot of Tibetan books are being translated, or books that are being translated in Tibetan that might be impacted because of this community. So my conclusion is, please, I urge you know, the District 26 to be preserved as much as it's possible. So thank you so much for your time. Yeah.
And thank you as well, and have a good night's sleep. John Bahia? Yeah.
Hello to the commissioners and staff of the Districting Commission. This is my third time testifying in front of the commission in regards to the communities that I strongly advocate for, which is the Filipino community in Little Manila and the neighborhood of Woodside. My name is John Bahia. I'm a proud Woodside resident and currently the Community Affairs Associate at local community nonprofit Woodside to Move. I'm also a board member of Queens Community Board 2, whose responsibilities and services include the entire neighborhood of Woodside and covers almost all of the neighborhoods of Council District 26. I also attend CUNY LaGuardia Community College in Long Island City. So basically I breathe, live, work, and have my education in Council District 26. My identified community is Woodside's Little Manila, which stretches from 70th Street to 63rd Street along Roosevelt Avenue in Woodside. The preliminary map proposal released by the commission is deeply concerning to me, as it divides up the communities of interest and fails to comply with the city charter. Woodside splits from the west of 58th Street, including the loss of Woodside's largest green space and park from the greater Woodside area, which is the Doughboy Park and Lawrence Virgilio Playground, and also parts of Woodside to the north of Broadway Avenue and above 31st Avenue. And with the bulk of Woodside being incorporated with the neighborhoods of Maspeth, Middle Village, Ridgewood, and Glendale, it thus creates a majority white district, dismantling a minority performing district. This new map also separates key transportation networks, with the known lack of investment in public transportation in Council District 30. It would be very disadvantageous to the day-to-day lives of Woodside commuters and working class families that rely on public transportation in Woodside, including Little Manila. Woodside on the Move supports the Unity Map proposal with the APA Voice Coalition and the new Unity Coalition members. We urge the Commission that the neighborhoods of Woodside and Little Manila should be kept whole to the extent possible and to remain in Council District 26. Thank you so much for the opportunity to voice out my community's concern and opinions on the preliminary map proposals. And we ask the Commission to not disenfranchise communities of interest, take away very important voter empowerment, and disregard our long-standing communities. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Hallie Kim? Okay. Farah Salam? Sandra Choi? I see someone running down the steps. Please don't run down the steps.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Let me just grab this. And I just wanted to ask, I've been seeing a lot of folks on the stage with their phones. A lot of people have been here all night and they're going to be here for the rest of the night. So I just hope that everyone's taking notes because, a lot of people are here passionately speaking about their communities.
Well, just as a reminder, we're also having it transcribed as well.
Okay.
So we have a person who's in the front doing transcription work.
All right, great, thank you. So my name is Farah Salam and I live in District 26. I'm a Bangladeshi American. I live in Sunnyside. Since the late 1970s, the Bangladeshi community members and families have been an integral part of Astoria, Woodside, Sunnyside, and Long Island City in District 26. Over the last 20, 30 years, we have also established small businesses in the neighborhood of Dutch Kills, Astoria on 36th Avenue and 30th Street, which we call Little Bangladesh. Western Queens became a safe haven for Bangladeshis coming here after Bangladesh fell under authoritarian rule in the 1980s. As the country continued with its struggles, Bangladeshi immigrants made their homes in the current District 26, seeking economic and social stability. They not only established their homes here, they established their businesses, sent their children to school, and created different community organizations. We came here to seek and build autonomy and political power, as we know what it is like to live without that community power. District 26 is our home. There are over 6,000 to 7,000 Bangladeshis living in District 26. We are the second largest growing community in New York City. And we live here in Sunnyside, Woodside, Long Island City, and Astoria, from 36th Avenue to Woodside Avenue. We celebrate our culture and our identities in so many different ways. We live, work, and organize in District 26 for over the last 30 years. We are part of the same organizations: the Astoria Welfare Society, the Bangladesh Institute of Performing Arts, the Arab American Family Support Center, CAV, the Taxi Workers Alliance, and DRUM. They have all worked together through our cultural and ethnic groups within District 26, in tandem with other immigrant groups such as the Nepalis, Tibetans, the Arabs, Filipinos, and many, many more Asian groups. We ask that you keep us together in district. If District 26, specifically Woodside, is divided into 4 council districts like the new maps propose, it would disrupt the continuity of services and flow of resources for our community. For the first time ever, we have a council office that provides resources and translations in our language, Bangla. Before, whenever we would get city notices or anything, any resources in Bangla, they would often be used through Google Translate, or somebody would translate them in a way that is inaccessible. Right now, we have an office that provides those translations in an accessible way, in a way that most people can understand, and that is not using Google Translate. We also want to stay together within the Asian American community of District 26, which the overall API population grew by 33% according to the last census for District 26. This preservation of our identity and political power relies on our unity to have fair and effective representation by one council member. We are a racial and language minority group protected by the Voting Rights Act of 1965. I strongly encourage and recommend that the Redistricting Commission makes sure that Woodside stays together with Long Island City, Sunnyside, and Western Astoria as it has been for the last 30 years. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Okay, thank you very much. What we were just checking on before we get to you, Mohammed Ahmed, I know one spoke, and is there another? Ahmed. Ahmed. No? Okay. All righty. Thank you. Just double checking.
Oh, well,
Are you Sandra Choi?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank
Hi.
you.
The light is really bright here. I'm going to pull it over here a little bit. Hi, good evening. My name is Sandra. I'm here to represent Mingguan Center for Community Action. Mingguan, established in 1984 and based in Flushing, Queens, serves and organizes working class Asian American and Korean American working class immigrants on civic, immigration, and housing advocacy. And my personal ties to Flushing include: I was born at Flushing Hospital. My parents bought their first home in Flushing about 20 years ago, where they still live today. And I also just want to mention Mingguan Center also convenes the APA Voice Redistricting Task Force, many of the members you're hearing from tonight. Mingguan serves community members throughout the 5 boroughs, but our community members are primarily based in the northeastern pocket of Queens, which stretches along Northern Boulevard Commercial Corridor, 10 miles from downtown Flushing to Bell Boulevard Bayside. Flushing is also a critical transportation corridor with the 7 trains, Main Street Station representing MTA's most northeastern stop in New York City. So we are a really important transportation hub. We connect Flushing to the rest of northeastern Queens, pockets of Queens, areas like Linden Hill, Murray Hill, Auburndale, and Bayside. 2020 census data, broken into neighborhood tabulation areas, show that the Asian American community make up more than 50% in the aforementioned neighborhoods. In the borough of Queens, Asian Americans make up about a quarter of the borough's residents, and our communities experience about 13% growth over this past decade. We know that lines represent power, and the way that this commission defines our borders will determine how policy moves, how resources are distributed, and ultimately how our communities are represented in local government. So 2 points I want to make tonight. We were surprised to see the Commission's proposed map lower the northern boundary of District 20 from 23rd Avenue to 29th Avenue, We ask that the commission restore the original boundary of the map that divides City Council District 19 and 20, the same way that the Unity map does. Van Wyck Expressway should be the western boundary, Utopia Parkway the eastern boundary, and similar maps that respect these boundaries also already exist, including one for Community Board 7 and the 109th Police Precinct. Second point that I want to make tonight is that initially when I testified to this commission a few months ago, I mentioned that the neighborhood of Murray Hill, identified as Koreatown on the City Council website's map, is divided into two. So the City Council map identifies Murray Hill as Koreatown. We don't call it that. City Council district map does. So what we would like for the commission to do is to keep the neighborhood of Murray Hill whole, and that's the Unity map's borders also reflects that. So in conclusion, we would urge the commission to adopt the borders of the Unity map, and thank you for your time today and hanging in there with us. Thanks.
And thank you for your testimony. Is it Donghwan Kim or Donghwan Kim? Okay. Is it Shabab Robin? Okay. And is it Shyam Karki? Okay. Raj Karpan? Okay, so Raj Karpan is Amrit Roka here? Not Romeo Hitlal? Ellen, is it Pallavi? You'll be next after this current speaker coming up. And then Ivan Mossop. Okay.
Hi, everyone. First, I want to say thank you for staying so late. I appreciate it. I had to get here late because I was putting my 7-month-old daughter to bed first, so it's helpful that you had this late session for us, at least for me. My name is Raj Korpin. I am a resident of Rego Park in Central Queens. I'm also a professor of computer science and co-chair of the Central Queens Redistricting Coalition. The Central Queens Redistricting Coalition is a nonpartisan, diverse group of residents, organizers, and activists of all different backgrounds who are advocating for the neighborhoods of Rego Park, Forest Hills, Kew Gardens, and Richmond Hill. We reviewed your draft maps, and we've also developed our own map of Queens that we feel resolves many of the issues that we found with your map, and we'll be submitting that to you as well. Other members of our group will be testifying in other hearings. I want to just summarize some of the points. We were very happy to see District 29 keep much of Central Queens together. We believe that it keeps our communities of interest whole. But it appears that the consequence of that is splitting many of the neighborhoods that surround us. For example, Richmond Hill has been split into multiple districts when it need not be. And the communities there deserve to have a single representative in the city council. Another issue we found with the map is with Woodside being split into multiple districts. Again, has been spoken to many times. We also take issue with the proposed District 32, which covers a very wide swath of geography and is very irregularly shaped. It separates communities that should be kept together that people have already spoken about. So what can we do about this? I think the solution is pretty straightforward. It is to not artificially force Staten Island to have 3 whole districts and lowering the population threshold across the rest of the city. Staten Island has not seen the same population growth as the rest of the city, and so their apportionment in the council should also decrease. So we look forward to submitting our map of Queens, and we will work with you if you have any input, but Central Queens should be kept whole. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Is it Ellen? Ellen Pallavi.
I'm Ellen Pallavi, and I represent Roosevelt Island, and we're a multi-ethnic, multicultural, financial island that is very much a part of New York. I know. I would like to introduce you to Olivia Schaefer, who is going to be talking on my behalf today. She is one of the hyperactive Girl Scouts on Roosevelt Island. She's been a Girl Scout since the age of 7, and she's going to tell you about how the Girl Scouts did something quite amazing on Roosevelt Island, how a community really works when it's part of the correct district. And we're part of Manhattan District 5, and we'd like to stay that way.
Thank you, Chairman Walcott and members of the Commission. My name is Olivia Schaefer, and I'm a young voice and voter on Roosevelt Island. I've lived there my whole life, and I can proudly say that the community there is tight-knit and robust. As part of that community, I have worked as a Girl Scout alongside my mom, who is a troop leader, to build an even better community. In 2015, roughly 7 years ago, I helped rally votes to build a green roof on top of my middle school, PSIS 217, as part of the New York City participatory budget. We were able to raise the most votes, and last year in November, the community opened the new green roof. That was only possible on Roosevelt Island as part of Manhattan working with District 5 Councilman Ben Kalos. It is so rewarding to help be a part of something that will last a lifetime. And for a lifetime, we have called ourselves Manhattanites as we've made connections with the larger island. After graduating from PSIS 217, I went to school in Midtown Manhattan, only 4 stops on the F train. I know many other islanders that go to school or work or travel in and out of Manhattan using the commuter tram from Roosevelt Island. After middle school, most of my friends from the island went to Manhattan for high school rather than Queens. One thing that Queens could never understand about our special island is that it is a special island. Our larger sister island of Manhattan understands the unique issues and all the environmental protections that we require. To be quite frank, I don't think Queens can handle the iconic Roosevelt Island and all its demands. I know that we are a loud and active community and will fight for what's right. Also, I'm not sure who decided to put a sliver of Manhattan as part of Queens. I don't think that makes sense, in my opinion. When people ask me where I live, I proudly tell them I live on Roosevelt Island, which is a part of Manhattan. It has always been my home, and after my parents recently bought their small piece of Manhattan there, hopefully Roosevelt Island, part of Manhattan, will be my home in the future. Thank you.
Thank you both for your testimony.
I just want to say, I brought a prop. This is a wetsuit. Just to ingrain this in your memory. We can't swim across the river. We need to be part of Manhattan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ivan Mossop? After Mr. Mossop is Dan Kaminsky and then Jonathan Isler Rapoka.
The quick brown fox, okay. Stop Rochdale Village from being drawn and quartered by the New York City Districting Commission. Ladies and gentlemen of the New York City Districting Commission, I am Ivan D. Mossop Jr., New York State 32nd Republican Male Assembly District Leader. I reside in the 5th Congressional District, 10th Senatorial District, and 32nd Assembly District. I share these districts with all my fellow residents of Rosthill Village. Though the maps of these districts have recently changed, they have not been redrawn to divide our community. The entirety of Rochdale Village is and has for decades been in the 28th City Council District, currently represented by City Council Speaker Adrian Adams. According to Redistricting and You, a mapping resource created by the Center for Urban Research at the Graduate Center of CUNY, the New York City Council preliminary plan would divide our community into the 28th and 27th City Council districts, specifically 8 buildings out of our 20 buildings, buildings 9 through 16, comprising 2 circles on Bedell Street, and 1/3 of building number 7, would be in District 27. According to the July 6, 2022 article of City and State New York, Annie McDonough, redistricting partners of a California-based firm that has also worked with the State Independent Redistricting Commission is working with the city's commission to actually draw the maps. One might wonder if the decision to draw a district line through buildings number 7, along with redistricting 8 other buildings, was made either by a person possibly from California or a computer algorithm. Rosthill Village Inc., incorporated in 1960 and completed in 1965, is the second largest cooperative village in the world. It is a Mitchell-Lama cooperative development with oversight and regulation from the New York State Department of Housing and Community Renewal, intended to be affordable housing for moderate and middle-income residents. The boundaries of its 20 residential apartment buildings are Guy Arbor Boulevard, Baisley Boulevard, Bedell Street, 134th Road, and 137th Avenue. The utilities of Rochdale Village 20 buildings are provided by a common power plant on Bedell Street. Rochdale Village has its own team of public safety officers that patrol the village, in addition to being in the confines of the 113th Police Precinct. Rochdale Village has a community center centrally located that is intended to serve the intergenerational community of all 20 buildings. Rochdale Village has a senior center and is a naturally occurring retirement community receiving annual city funding from the Department for the Aging. Rochdale Village is an enclave of people from the African diaspora and is the only such NORC in Queens of that nature. Rochdale Village is also part of the Jamaica and Hollis community that the Task Force on Racial Inclusion and Equity, TRIE, identified as one of 33 communities having accounted for more than 50% of the city's COVID-19 cases. When I think of Rochdale Village, I think of people like me, coming from or having ancestors from South Carolina, Georgia, other parts of the South, and the Caribbean, formerly of other parts of Queens and Greater New York, graduates of HBCUs and CUNY, etc., graduates of Jamaica High School, etc. My neighbors include employees and retirees of the MTA, NYPD, FDNY, civil servants, and so forth. People who speak not only English, but Creole, Spanish, and various African languages. It is even the home of Olympic medalist Dalila Muhammad. Elected officials and politicians seeking votes often make stops at Rochdale Village and participate in our community events.
Can I ask you to start to wrap up, sir?
Okay.
Thank you
New
very
York
much.
City Charter, Chapter 2A, Section 52C states, district lines shall keep intact neighborhoods and communities with established ties of common interest and association, whether historical, racial, economic, ethnic, religious, or other. It is my contention that Rochdale Village, by its very name and its 50-year, or actually 60-year history, is a neighborhood community with established ties of common historical, racial, economic, ethnic, and religious interests and association. Any attempt to partition Rochdale Village into more than one city council district would be against the New York City Charter and leave our community dismembered or drawn and quartered. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
And thank you for your testimony. Next is Dan Kaminsky, then Jonathan Isla Ramhoga.
So firstly, I want to echo statements from before, just thanking y'all. It is past my bedtime. I'm sure many of people here, so thank you for ensuring everyone gets heard. Thank people who have stayed. My name is Dan Kaminsky. I'm the policy manager at Citizens Union. And today I'm talking more about the process than I will about the lines itself. So we've been running a community education program where we worked with over 1,000 New Yorkers. I think we're really pleased that so many folks have come out. We see this as generally a good thing, even though it means a later bedtime for many. And as the commission moves to the next stages of the process, Citizens Union makes the following comments and recommendations. 1, explain the reasoning behind line drawing decisions. The draft redistricting plan made some substantial changes Yet the Commission has not provided meaningful oral or written explanation to justify any new lines. Most notably, the proposed plan kept 3 whole districts on Staten Island. This decision exceeded the Commission's own analysis of district population limits without clarifying these changes to the public. By using most of the legally allowed population deviation on Staten Island, 4.29 out of the 5%, the Commission left the other 48 districts in the city with much less room to accommodate population changes or comments from communities of interest. Under your proposed map, Staten Island averages 165,481 people per district, while the rest of the city averages 173,342 people per district. While this is technically legal, it undermines the principle of one person, one vote and equal apportionment. Citizens Union finds the absence of clear public justification for this decision and other decisions to be concerning. The urgency of providing public justification for the lines has taken on new added significance this cycle, as this is the first time where there's not a need for a pre-clearance report. Number 2, conduct mapping deliberations in public. The public was not exposed to negotiations the Commission had about drawing the preliminary council lines. There's no reason for discussions over the final lines to be kept out of the public's eye. As we detailed in a letter submitted to y'all on August 10th, with which a bunch of co-signers were here as well, we're particularly concerned by recent reports that others have mentioned about possible backroom deals between appointing authorities and their influence over mapping decisions. While we understand the Commission's need to work in small subcommittees, key mapping issues should be brought for a discussion before the Commission as a whole. We urge you to hold mapping deliberations as part of an open public meeting. Open meetings on mapping deliberations are not an uncommon practice for Commission-led redistricting process. Actually, the last New York City Redistricting Commission in 2012 held multiple public meetings on maps and included district-by-district presentations on the reasoning behind every proposed line and the public's concern about each area. And finally, third, we request that you disclose any meetings commissioners have with elected officials. All meetings and other conversations with council members, other elected officials, or their representatives, almost done, related to redistricting must be disclosed. The redistricting process is exposed to politicization. Now that the maps are out, elected officials and others may try to put pressure on commissioners behind closed doors. To keep the map-making process transparent, commissioners or staff members who discuss maps with individuals who are not affiliated with the commission should file a disclosure form. Thank you all so much.
Thank you for your testimony.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Rampagoa. I'm a lifelong resident of District 25, living in Elmhurst, Queens, off of Queens Boulevard, and currently attend high school in Long Island City in District 26. Today I'm speaking on behalf of my community, the Filipino community in Little Manila, which is situated in Woodside, District 26. I oppose the Commission's preliminary draft proposal because it splits Woodside into 4 multiple districts and puts part of Woodside, including Little Manila, which is a community of interest, rather than keeping District 26 whole and puts it into D30, which is a predominantly white community that encompasses of Glendale, Middle Village, and Maspet. And as we know, communities of interest that are conjoined together with communities that do not represent them politically, racially, or even economically, does not make sense, right? Because if we were to put a conjoined district of D26 with D30 and having that contrast of working class immigrants of Little Manila, Queens, over to a district that's predominantly more affluent and predominantly more accessible when it comes to economic and socioeconomic status, will cause disenfranchisement to the Little Manila, Queens Filipinos that are predominantly immigrants working within Elmhurst and Woodside, and also are important people that work in nursing home within the hospital nearby in Elmhurst Hospital. Additionally, a major fallacy within the grouping of those 2 districts is the transportation services that are provided. As we know right now with the MTA lines, Q39 and Q18, which are situated in D30, are about to be cut and swap of QT80, which will cause disruptions within the services with 20-minute delays providing throughout Maspet and also Middle Village. And obviously a lot of the people that are working within Elmhurst Hospital that reside in Woodside often rely on the 7 train to get to their jobs, to also work in Manhattan, for example, for labor work. And if they were to rely on those bus lines, which are obviously being cut because of the desert that's being, because the transportation desert is being proposed in MTA, when it comes to D30, it will be highly inconvenient, but also inequitable for immigrant families to stay within their lifestyles over there, often working through the night and having to rely on those bus lines will not be sufficient for them to get home on time and also provide for their communities back home. So therefore, if the political, economical, and transportational means of an immigrant community like Woodside, Little Manila is at risk of erasure if a map proposal does not represent the communities of interest, then what does that say to the residents who stimulate the city's economy, encompasses that diversity, only to be disenfranchised and fractured in fragments because of Staten Island being the predecessor and also being the decision to make whole the 48 other districts that often are being disenfranchised right now? So I ask the commission to keep Woodside and Elmhurst whole to the fullest extent and to preserve our various communities of interest in reference to the Unity map proposal by the Unity Coalition and also to prior city council district maps in order to make sure that our communities of immigrants within Woodside are not disenfranchised and are kept whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll be right back. We'll continue on.
Chemang Palma, and then Eric Duncan. Oh, you already testified? Okay. Eric Duncan?
Yes, good evening. My name is Eric Duncan. I am a resident of Ravenswood Houses at New York City Housing. I'm a community activist there. I also have been the vice president of the Ravenswood Resident Association. I've been a secretary for the Police Executive Board, Police PSA 9 Community Council. I just left a position with Jacob A. Reese Neighborhood Settlement for 2 years, working as a subcontracted employee for the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene on test and trace and tree projects. I'm here to say that the map is unacceptable. No disrespect to you guys. The analogy I can make looking at that map is like District 26 was a whole healthy community of all different types of ethnicities and working well together. And looking at that map between the dissections and the outright amputations, it's now a corpse. It's not functional. As far as our community leader, Councilmember Julie Wan, she was out in the trenches with me and other people from the community in 2020 and 2021 before she was elected, making sure that there was food brought into the community, thousands of meals. She was out in the street handing out masks and hand sanitizer before she was elected. Her office is unprecedented. She has an LGBTQ representative. She has an African American representative, someone that speaks Nepali, Tibetan, Bengali. She has a Caucasian. She has a Mexican, a Colombian. She has someone to represent for every part of her constituency. Now you want to amputate Queensbridge and Ravenswood Houses totally out of her district and force us to be represented by someone who does not have anything that connects us the way that our representative does. And we elected her. That's not fair. I'm not going to speak to the things that have already been spoken on about the Voter Rights Act. All of that has been beaten to death. I just want you to take a serious look at what you're doing. And I'd like to suggest that the next time this convenes in 10 years, maybe you can get people that actually live in the boroughs to do the redistricting. And the next time that you have a hearing, could you schedule it earlier in the day? We had 6 representatives from the Ravenswood community. They're all seniors that had to leave. You know that this goes on for 7-8 hours. Possibly you could start in the middle of the afternoon so that people can actually get the opportunity to speak and you could hear them. Thank you.
Rosava Almasan? No. Vishnu Mahadeo? Vishnu Mahadeo? No, not Magar. Richmond Hill Seva Services? No? Okay. Mohammed Q. Amin? Oh, he already testified, yeah. Nalima Amin?
Oh, it's been a long day. Thank you all. I want to start there first. My script said good afternoon, but it's actually good evening now. I do want to say thank you for the opportunity to testify. Thank you for still being here. It's really important to have these conversations, and I appreciate all of your time. My name is Nalima Amin. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an immigrant from Guyana who has called Richmond Hill home the majority of my life. I'm also a volunteer with the Caribbean Equality Project, a Queens-based community LGBTQ immigrant right-based organization. Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park are home to the largest South Asian and Indo-Caribbean communities in Queens, one of the fastest growing immigrant populations in New York City. Currently, my neighborhood is unjustly divided into 3 city council districts, 28, 29, and 32. These district lines have deliberately gerrymandered our political power for decades. The Commission's proposed map for Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park fracture my community even further into 5 city council districts, 27, 28, 29, 31, and now 32. From my understanding of the New York City Council redistricting process, which is very limited, I do want to say, the goal of the Commission is to create a compact district that reflects the growth of the general population from the 2020 census, including Asians, which consists of a population increase of 345,000 people in New York City. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I joined Caribbean Equality Project to do census outreach to count my underrepresented community of interest. We jeopardize our safety and lives to count the underserved and underfunded communities of Little Guyana in Richmond Hill and Little Punjab in South Ozone Park. After dominating multiple hearings, the Commission's draft maps failed to keep Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park into a single district. That's unacceptable at this point, especially with all the data that has been collected from the census. We are more than numbers, but this Commission should not ignore many contributions of South Queens. The South Asian and Indo-Caribbean communities share similar language diversity, migration history, cultural and religious tradition, and historical faith-based institutions that deserve to be united and not divided. The natural boundaries of Richmond Hill and South Ozone Park are Woodhaven Boulevard to the west, Jamaica Avenue to the north, the Van Wyck Expressway to the east, and the South Conduit Avenue to the south. You have the power to end gerrymandering in South Queens. And today I'm calling on all of you, even those that are not here yet, or not here still, to stand with us to undo decades of political harm. I hope you will hear our collective voice and not contribute to the growing trend of racial gerrymandering and political oppression. Thank you for your time.
And thank you, right on time. Thank you very much. So I need to have us take a 5-minute break because our stenographer is one person who's been here the entire time and has not had the flexibility to get up to do whatever she needs to do. And so we're going to take a 5-minute break and we'll be right back here and then reconvene. So 5 minutes.